In a forest where the sunlight pierced through the canopy like golden spears, there lived a peacock named Neel. Neel was not just a bird, he was a spectacle. His tail was a masterpiece of nature, iridescent blues that rivaled the ocean, deep greens like the oldest moss, and spots of gold that looked like staring eyes. Every morning, Neel would fan his tail out, blocking the path, so the other animals had to stop and look. "Make way," he would say, strutting past the squirrels and rabbits. "Do not touch the feathers, they are too perfect for the likes of you." He defined his entire existence by who was watching him. If a deer didn't look up, Neel felt insulted. If a monkey didn't clap, Neel felt robbed. One afternoon, a small sparrow fluttered down, struggling with a twig for her nest. "Neel," she chirped, "could you help me lift this? It's caught in the bramble." Neel looked at the dusty bush, then at his pristine feathers. He laughed, a cold, sharp sound. "I was born to be admired, little sparrow, not to be a servant. Why would I risk breaking a feather for your messy nest?" He walked away, leaving the sparrow struggling. He felt powerful, but he didn't notice the silence that was beginning to grow around him. As the seasons turned, the forest changed. The great migration began. Flocks of exotic birds from the north arrived, birds with wings like fire, and songbirds with voices so sweet they made the river pause to listen. The forest animals were enchanted by these newcomers, not just for their beauty, but for their stories and songs. Neel fanned his tail out one morning, waiting for his usual crowd. He waited and waited. A group of deer walked past him without breaking stride. The monkeys were busy listening to a nightingale. "Look at me," he squawked, rattling his quills. A badger looked up, shrugged, and kept walking. "We've seen it, Neel. It's just feathers." Neel felt a cold panic grip his heart. Just feathers? Without their applause, who was he? He looked at his reflection in the pond. He didn't see a king anymore. He saw a desperate, lonely bird painted in loud colors. Driven by shame, Neel did the unthinkable. "If they won't admire me," he whispered to the shadows, "then they don't deserve to see me at all." He dragged his beautiful tail through the mud. He folded his feathers tight against his body and covered them in dust and dead leaves. He walked with his head low, slouching so he looked like a common flightless bird. For weeks he moved like a ghost. But in his invisibility, he began to see things he had never noticed before. He saw Duval, the crane. Duval was plain. His feathers were a dull gray. He had no shimmer, no gold. Yet, wherever Duval walked, animals bowed their heads. Not in fear, not in awe of beauty, but in gratitude. Neel watched from the bushes as Duval stood in the cold river for hours, using his long beak to clear rocks that trapped the fish, ensuring the otters could eat. "Why do you do it?" Neel asked Night, stepping out of the shadows. "You ruin your legs in the cold water. No one applauds." "Applause is noise, Neel," the crane said softly. "It lasts for a second. But when I help, I build trust, and trust lasts a lifetime." "But you are plain," Neel blurted. "Admiring is what people feel when they look at you. Respect is what they feel when they walk with you." The lesson truly sunk in until the night of the monsoon storm. The rain didn't fall, it hammered. The river swelled, turning into a roaring monster of brown water and debris. The animals scrambled for higher ground. Suddenly, a cry pierced the thunder. A young fawn had slipped on the mud and tumbled into the raging current. The water was dragging him toward the waterfalls. The animals froze on the bank. It was suicide to jump in. Duval, the crane, stepped forward, but the current was too strong for his thin legs. He was knocked back instantly. Neel stood trembling in the rain. His instinct was to protect his feathers. "If I jump in, I'll be ruined. I'll be heavy. I might drown. But then he looked at the fawn's terrified eyes. He looked at Duval, who was trying to get up despite the pain. Admiring is watched. Respect is earned. Neel didn't think. He didn't pose. He ran. Neel dove into the churning water. The weight of his massive tail, usually a burden, became an anchor. He used his powerful legs to fight the current, thrashing against the waves. The water washed away the mud, it washed away the dust and the dead leaves. As Neel reached the fawn, a flash of lightning illuminated the river. There he was, his emerald and gold feathers fully spread, fanned out against the black water, fighting the storm. He wasn't posing for beauty, he was using his strength. He hooked his wing around the fawn and pushed with everything he had. Inch by inch he fought the river. He shoved the fawn onto the muddy bank and collapsed, gasping for air, his beautiful feathers soaked, tangled, and matted with river weeds. Neel lay there, eyes closed, waiting for the mockery. He looked a mess. He wasn't perfect anymore. But when he opened his eyes, the forest was silent. A circle of animals surrounded him. The badger stepped forward. The sparrow was there, the deer. They didn't clap. Instead, they bowed deeply. Duval, the crane, walked over and gently removed a weed from Neel's tangled feathers. "You are beautiful, Neel," Duval said, "but for the first time, nobody is looking at your feathers. We are looking at you." Neel looked around. He saw warmth in their eyes. He realized he didn't need to stand alone on a pedestal to be a king. He just needed to be part of the family. From that day on, Neel cleaned his feathers, and they shone brighter than ever before. But he no longer strutted. He used his strong wings to shelter small birds from the rain. He used his loud voice to warn the herd of approaching danger. He realized the moral that changed his life. Your beauty may catch their eyes, but only your character can hold their hearts.